We picked up this 1965 Mustang Fastback at the RM Sotheby's auction back in Auburn, Indiana last year. Normally we don't buy project cars at auction, but this thing ended up selling quite inexpensively, and this was a roller when we got it, so there has no engine and no transmission. It is not a priceless Shelby Mustang. It looks like one, but it is actually a 6-cylinder fastback that we will convert and basically make a replica of a Shelby Mustang. So if you want to race a Mustang, there's several different ways to go. The most expensive one is probably a 65 fastback. Any shell, even in rotten condition, is going to cost you 10 or 15,000 bucks. This one we paid just under 20,000 for, but it's already been painted. Now this is not a Concours quality paint job, but it's plenty good enough for vintage racing. And it also came with a lot of Shelby type equipment. Some of it we'll use, some of it we won't. Why not just race a real Shelby? Because that's expensive. A real Shelby Mustang, even in very poor condition with the wrong engine or a ton of rust, it's still at least a $100,000 proposition. But if you build that into a race car, you're looking at something that's probably worth $150,000 to $175,000. If you use a fake Shelby going in, it's not worth as much money. We think we can build this car for well under $50,000. And have it competitive. We're building it for HSR's Group 3, which is a little bit more of a limited prep class. Even in Group 3 HSR trim, it's got about a 500 horsepower engine. It's on treaded tires, but it will still turn lap times in the 130 to 140 range. So this is a very fast car. So to give you a comparative lap time on something like a Spec Miata, the lap record, which is probably faster than we could go, is about a 142 at Road Atlanta. So this should be about 5 seconds a lap faster. But the ultimate speed isn't really what this is about. The vintage racing community in general and HSR in particular are such a great group of guys to run with. There are going to be plenty of cars to run with. So lots of competition. We're going to have a lot of fun. And we're going to make a lot of noise. Again, what you choose as a car matters. If you choose a cheap disposable car, at the end of it, you probably won't get much of your money back. This car, assuming we don't crash it, is probably worth considerably more than what we're going to have into it. And while racing certainly isn't all about the money, it's nice to not just pour your money into a hole when you're building a race car. So as I mentioned, we bought this car as a roller. So far, we have gutted the interior, and we've started building a roll cage. We used the R model roll bar that came with the car as a starting point, and we've gone from there to develop a full cage. We've also found a great partner for this car. Cobra Automotive up in Wallingford, Connecticut is the king for building these early Mustangs, and they have been giving us some great tips, and they are the source for all the new and used parts that we're going to need for this build. In fact, as soon as we bought the car, we had it shipped directly to Cobra Automotive, and we went up there and we had Kurt teach us a lot about what we needed to do. We also went through his 6 warehouses and dug up a lot of the parts we were going to need. So obviously any build takes parts, and we have been collecting and collecting parts. We started by buying a used race motor from Cobra Automotive. We picked up a 302 with about 500 horsepower. The rules call for iron block and iron head, and other than that, internals are pretty much open. So we've got a pretty stout engine that we're going to run. A 5-speed transmission conversion is not allowed in the class, but you can use an upgraded transmission. We went with a Rolltech 4-speed, which while the Rolltech looks like a top loader that would have come in a lot of Mustangs, this one is really been optimized and modified for durability and performance. So while we have a lot of the parts and we've been collecting, our next step is going to be to take this car down to Blastmasters, and they're going to blast out the interior and prime it for us. If you like this sort of stuff and want to follow along, subscribe to our channel or go to the Grassroots Motorsports website.
Support brands that support Grassroots Motorsports. Get your chemical solutions from CRC Industries. Visit crcindustries.com to learn more.